Today I'm going to hit you with a bunch of Google reviews that I find, well, entertaining to say the least. I'll let you decide for yourself. Getting into the first one from Flipsy Fiona. This is a review on 1984, an arcade in Springfield. I love this place, it's fun. Alright, now to the review. I take this as someone who specifically came here for pinball. I had zero desire to play any of the arcade games. Having read the website, I was familiar with their entry system. $10 entry for the retro arcade and or pay quarters for pinball. I.e., if you want to play just pinball, then they waive the $10 and you just pay per pinball game. Or at least that's how I assumed their entry system worked, because every other place that does it that way does it that way. Nope, apparently you have to pay $10 just to get in, so you can pay more to play the pinball machines. And look, I get it. I understand the whole pay to play makes people take pride in their pinball game versus the free play. Start four players and walk away after shooting two balls. But to make pinballers play a $10 fee on top of having to pay quarters. Now, yes, they did waive the fee for me because it was a slow night, but what if it wasn't? I would have walked right out. But the $10 fee wasn't the only problem. Of the six machines I played, all six of them felt like they could have used varying degrees of maintenance. Heck, Attack from Mars' left flipper was so weak that the right side of the machine was near unplayable. And yes, maintenance can lag behind. But wasn't the whole point of taking your pinball machines off the free play ban to minimize wear and tear and help with keeping up with the maintenance? Some of these games feel like they haven't been touched in a while. Weak flippers, sensor issues, board angle, board light. And to really illustrate the lack of maintenance, one of your games completely broke and just eats quarters, 8 ball deluxe. But the board lights are on, indicating the machine is on. If the machine is broken, turn it off. Edit. I removed my positive about the 50 cents, having gone to another place where I had to pay an entry fee. Granted, it was for an extensive museum, and they only charged me 25 cents a game, and the games played decently well, which has caused me to come here and revise my rating from a 2-star to a 1-star. Haley Goodwin on 1040 Coffee. I did not like the service I had and was very displeased. And I must say that if anyone goes there, I hope you have better service than I did. By the way, if you're not pleased with the service or the server, always, always, always go to another better coffee shop who's much friendlier and has servers with a better attitude, is bigger, better, nicer, and has a larger selection of coffees as well as teas, and is also a much better coffee shop than 1040. If I were a food critic, I would give this place 0 to 1 stars. Well, I've been here. I enjoyed it, and seeing as this was 5 years ago and I haven't been here in about a year and a half or so, they've definitely got a large selection of coffees that has only gotten larger as I've been there. Moving on to the next review from Eric Carlson. This was an incredibly disappointing visit. First, I was given a plain bagel when I ordered an everything bagel. Then when I received my everything bagel, it still was raw dough in several places and had fallen apart. This experience makes me hesitant to return. Well, Eric, considering you don't bake a bagel, I really don't know how you get raw dough in several parts. They have to fry them. That's how bagels are made. Um, oh, yes. Moving on to the next spot. Heading out prospecting for the Black River Coliseum in Poplar Bluff, Missouri. Every time someone has reserved the pool area, it has been a hassle. Thanks, Mr. Penning Out Prospecting. Now to Darla Long for the same area. Not a place to have a concert event or camping. Well, yeah, you don't go camping in a oh, what do you call it? A venue. This isn't the venue you go camping in. It's a building. Penny Swice. It sucks because the city court is behind it. It took over 3 hours just to have my ticket dropped. Well, Penny, that's actually not terrible. Besides, some of the spelling, but that's a running theme here. Steve Smith. A money pit for the city and too small for any events other than bingo for old folks and C-tier musicians. This one might also be all right. The building looks pretty small on the map over there on the right. Um, yeah, it might be a little small. This review comes from Hannah Miller on the Deleuze Family Housing in Camp Pendleton. Fair warning, I'm probably going to agree with her. On base housing in the United States Armed Forces is a travesty and needs to be looked into. They paint over mold instead of removing it. The carpets are never really nailed down and they can be peeled up super easy. They painted white on the bathtub and stove instead of cleaning it, and their maintenance workers almost hit my car because he was on his phone while pulling up behind me at a stop sign. They charge $2,500 a month for a 2-bed, 2-bath with no yard. This is how they treat military families. They move to a 5-bed, 3-bath with a huge yard for less, for 500 less than what Delos charges. Save yourself a headache and just move off base. Yeah, I probably sadly agree with you here. This one's from Josh L. I walked up here. Oh, yes. Josh L. for the Discount Smokes and Liquor in Joplin. I walked up here, coast. They got good prices, and even though it says they're open on their page after waiting a half hour outside, still no one shows up, so I walked 12 blocks for nothing. Thanks, Josh L. Let's see what Mark Baker has to say about this place. 0 stars! Their credit card reader refused to scan my card. The clerk didn't care, and I had to move on to another store. Way out of my way. Uh, that sounds unfortunate, Mr. Mark. What about Mr. Colby Cluth? Shame on you for closing early. Your staff was still there, but are just too lazy to make sales. No excuses. At least turn your open side. They probably just forgot, Mr. Colby. Uh, but yeah, let's see what ZMN has to say about the Fallbrook Cafe in Fallbrook, California. Oh, yeah, also, the Discount Smokes and Liquors is in Joplin, if I didn't already say that. But let's see what Mr. N has to say. This review is on the angry old lady that answered the phone. I asked about a reservation and was really told we don't accept them. I then asked if we could show up, and she said you'll have to sit outside. What happened to customer service? This sort of presentation is unacceptable. They just meant you had to sit in the outside seating. Well, if they're full inside, that's kind of how outside seating works. Sorry, not sorry. See what Daniel Gulo has to say. We used to come here regularly many, many years ago. Now, the service is abysmal, which is probably why they automatically charge an 18% gratuity for parties of 6 and over. The food took forever. The food was lower quality than frozen food from the grocery store. The orders were wrong, overall disappointing, and a waste of time and money. The original owners must have sold out to people who have no idea how to run a restaurant or concept of customer service. Well, Daniel Gulo, you came there with a party at 6 and got mad that the food took a long time. I think you might need to take a retrospective look on your life choices. This review comes from Joshua Perry for It's Sugar in Branson on the Landing. For a store that only has large boxes of candy and stuffed animals to attract small children, enter only to see highly inappropriate items all over the store. Candy with vulgarity, edible underwear, candy items that stated I was gay before it was cool, and many more. These items should at least be in a separate area from the items for small children. My kids were excited to shop in your store only to see items not suitable for elementary aged kids. Very disappointed. Well, Josh, you went to the Branson Landing, which as far as I remember, only has very few family-friendly places. The literally across from here is, well, it's not directly across, but most of these places are bars and shops for like kitchenware. And you can look here, right? These are all clothing and jewelers and not a lot of necessarily family places. So I don't know what you expected. I've been there. I love that place, and I will most certainly be going back to account for the business they lost for you not going. Good day, sir. This review comes from Dustin Wilson on the Maritime Museum of San Diego. In San Diego. Booked a cruise on the tall ship Californian. The ship went around the bay and under engine power. Why would I pay to be on a schooner if it ain't gonna sail? That's just the beginning. The ship is also equipped with 6-pound deck guns. The booking explicitly states they would fire them. The captain says they are loud. You don't want to hear them anyway. So not only are we not sailing, but they are not firing the guns. I would have booked a powerboat tour with night seats if that's what I wanted. The advertising is misleading at best and downright false about the guns. The ship also has an expired Coast Guard safety certificate as well. I have included pictures and screenshots of the misleading advertising and expired certificate. He did not, by the way. They are not included in the review, or I would have. I expect better price for the price we paid. I would recommend everyone to stay away from the cruise and this establishment. You you paid for a boat that wasn't. I you know I don't know what to expect out of you. You didn't provide the proof of anything. I'm kind of tempted to say that you got told not to do something and are very salty about it. This review is for George Washington's Mount Vernon in, Mount Vernon, Virginia, near D.C. Terrible experience. I consider the tour false advertising like most people who choose to go there. We went to explore Washington's estate and hear an accurate portrayal of the great man that was George Washington. Instead, you're subjected to woke lectures by the tour guides and complete historical revisionism. Yet another national treasure destroyed by highly politicized denigration of the founding fathers. My friend who lives in the area went with me and toured the estate 3 years earlier and loved the experience. Recommended it as a hidden gem in the DC area. I'm not sure what changed, but it'll change for the worse. I think I think your views have changed for the worst. The quote unquote worst, actually. Mr. Bill, George for his time would have been considered a crazed loon and a liberal. You know why? Because he said that he didn't want to have a king, and kings were appointed by God Himself to rule the land. So, saying that you don't want a king is saying that you want to go against God and saying that people should have the right to choose their own leaders and the rights to vote, and etc. and etc. It's very liberal for the time, even if not now. So, I don't know what woke here is, if it's hearing about how his wife, how he, loved his wife or wanted his slaves freed after he died, or the fact that, he didn't want a king and spoke against God himself is woke to you. But I think that's a you issue, Mr. Laberty, from 3 weeks ago. This review comes from Miss Sheila Owens from the Naval Aviation Museum in Fort Walton, Florida. Their site needs to be updated to say more than a government-issued ID or state driver's license is needed, but it must be the new Star ID issued license ticket onto the base. Not everyone knows this. We drove 2 hours to see this museum and to be turned away. The officer was very nice, but we very disappointed. Well, that's because they've been telling you for like 3 years now that you need to have a real ID, is the star ID. You need to have a real ID to go onto military bases, to fly, to go in and out of the country. You need a real ID. That has been going on for the past, what, 3 or 4 years now. I got a real ID like 3 years ago. So I don't know why you waited until a week ago. I don't even know how you didn't get a real ID within the past couple of years, because I feel like they've been trying to just chuck them out so you didn't have to. It's quite odd, Mrs. Shayla Owens. This review comes from Ilamila Stockmaster for Ruby's Diner, just south of Los Angeles. Literally, the world today is absent of the art of listening. Slow down and actually shut your mind. Slow down. Listen to my actual words. Trying to just simply order a shake to go. Your management needs training on how to take an order over the phone. What a 27-second nightmare on the phone. Hard pass. If you're running 100 miles an hour and that's your speed, then you'll get along with Miss Cut You Off just fine. You can both interrupt and talk circles around one another until one of you takes a breath. Hon, I think she's unmedicated with something. Give her a break. Please. Just, I get it that someone not listening is frustrating, and you have the right to leave this review, but Jesus, you don't need to insult the staff. Go.
This next review comes from Casey Smith on the USS Midway Museum in San Diego, California. Doesn't offer military discounts for military spouses. We take our family members who visit us each time. I've taken so many people here, so basically promoting your business. So why do we have to pay the full adult ticket? You should change this policy and offer military tickets for active duty spouses of active duty military service members. We are not strangers. This lady gets under my skin. Not only have I not heard of these people in like half a decade and am astonished that they're still around, but the fact that she is demanding, not deserving of, demanding a discount for a status that she doesn't hold. She's not active service, and assuming her husband is, they are demanding that they be treated like the people who lay down their lives for this country and will give everything, even up to the ultimate sacrifice, for you and for me, and are acting this way on Google. So, lady, I hope you have the day you deserve. It isn't a very good one.
This next review of the Maritime Museum comes from Phony LeBrun, a vast, carefully crafted American propaganda tool designed to bring to the American technological superiority of the time while making you emotionally connected to the hardship endured by American sailors and airmen and their family. A one-sided story with very little contextualization as to the use of the carrier that is one of most effective instruments of death used to bring destruction to Vietnamese villages, indiscriminately killing civilians, children. Expect a careful erasure of any mention of enacted war crimes. Expect glory to the American flag, heavily fueled by a blind sense of pride, heroism, and patriotism. It felt extremely disturbing overall, slightly sickening, like walking in the corridor of there, but being expected to admire the plumbing of the gas chambers. See, I don't know if YouTube's censorship will take that weirdly, so I'm not gonna say it, but or a lot of this other stuff that I want to. But you went to a museum aimed at little children. I would know. I've been here. You know when I went? As a little child. I don't think little children are, really, I don't want to say they don't care, but they aren't really ready to hear about the things that the United States did to Vietnamese women, children, innocents, all of that, right? And it's saddening, right? So, yeah, this one's a little more. Has a little more backing behind it than the other one, obviously, but ugh, you know, people. This is for the Vehicle Assembly Building in Cape Canaveral from Surf Punk Mike. It's too big, overwhelming. Well, it's a vehicle assembly building, Mike. It makes rockets. It's where they put them together, or their parts together. This other review of the VAB comes from Pereira Crew. Keeps blowing up when I try to land on the helipad. Thanks, Kerbal Space Player. Thanks, Kerbal Space Program Player. Thank you for telling us that things explode when you hit them. This last review comes from Miss Gina Wood in of the Time in Gall. This review comes from Gina Wood of the Town and Country Supermarket in Ava, Missouri. I purchased a washer dryer from Lowe's to be delivered today. They kept putting an old address from years ago in the system. I've called for the past 3 days to confirm my address and was told they had my correct address and it would be delivered this afternoon. I received a call from another customer, Oliver, who was getting delivery today, who told me he was trying to help delivery figure out my address. About 15 minutes later, I receive a call from the driver who tells me the address is wrong and my delivery ain't happening today. He had it scheduled for my old address, which is 2 hours away from me. I asked him why he couldn't bring it on down, and he said it's 2 hours out of his way and he wasn't doing it. I'm beyond upset right now. I'm gonna go eat some Werther's Originals and watch my daytime programming. So, where do I even begin? This is your only review, and you reviewed a Lowe's, but honey, this isn't a Lowe's. This is a supermarket in not even Springfield, where the nearest Lowe's is. I don't I don't know what you're going for here, but anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have, maybe drop me a line saying you want to see another. Um, yeah. See ya.